we live on the live stream?
We're live on the live stream.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming, whether you are online or in person with us today. My name is Graham Hargraves. I'm the Strategic Business Director here at CAD-CAM Consulting. Just going to jump right into it. Little housekeeping first. We do have people that are watching the live stream on our YouTube channel. Just a heads up, there's a 30 to 45 second delay in what we're doing live and what they're seeing. So if you have any questions or anything like that, if you're live streaming, please ask them in the YouTube chat. What was the other thing you wanted me to say?
If any issues, just...
Oh, yes. Also, any issues with the live stream, please just type that into the chat, and we'll try to address that as quickly as we can. So for the folks in the room here, just to let you know, the bathrooms are down the hall to the left. The showroom with the machines is right over there if you want to take a look at that during breaks or the lunch or after during the Q&A. When someone is talking up here, we ask you to kind of hold your questions until the end of that person's presentation. Then they'll give you a couple minutes to ask anything. We do have a lot of time during lunch, after lunch, to really dive in as well. We're going to have a 10-minute break around 10:30. Go back one. There is coffee and water right around the corner here. Feel free to help yourselves. What are we going to see today? Obviously, Mastercam 2026. We're going to do demonstrations and of it in the software, what's new, and some PowerPoint as well. We're recording this live streaming. We're going to publish this in full few-hour event. We're also going to cut them up by presenter, and then we'll put them up there as well, so you can kind of pick and choose if you want to go back, or if people have missed it, they can check it out. We're going to hear from Mastercam Corporate today. We have a few people in the back, so that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for coming. You're also going to hear about CAM Assist, which is a true assistant that can be built right into Mastercam to help you do your roughing and things like that. And then, of course, lunch, we have tacos. I'm from Connecticut, so anytime I come out here, I pretty much eat nothing but tacos. I've held true to that in the past 2 days. After all the presentations, we're going to do raffles, and then there's going to be an open forum. So this is your opportunity. We will end the live stream right before lunch, but this is the opportunity for the people in the room to have, bring up any support issues. We have a bunch of our staff here. Any support issues, anything you want to take a deeper dive into these presentations on, just any questions. We're here until 3 o'clock. If everyone decides to leave, then we'll pack up and go too. But we are here until you guys are happy. And then what's the overall goal? It's, we're always trying to make you better at what you do, better programmer. Show you the ins and outs of Mastercam 2026. We know you're busy. We appreciate you all being here, whether you're in person or online. Maybe it's something you want to try out. A lot of cool new features that we're going to talk about. And then I always try to have fun, so we have a dynamic group of presenters. We like to have fun. We work hard. We play hard. So we'll mix in a little humor, I hope, during the whole process. Who are we? CCCS has been around since 1993. We've served Southern California and surrounding areas with additive software and hardware, subtractive things like Mastercam, Vericut, Verisurf. Well, that would be inspection. Really just a whole kind of software, hardware suite to service and machine shops around us. So for additive, we carry desktop metal and robos. For subtractive, we have CAM Assist, Mastercam, Mastercam Probing, which was actually formerly CIMCO Probing. That was just acquired a few months ago. We sell Mold Plus, Vericut, as mentioned. On the inspection R&D side, we have Verisurf. We're local, we're experienced, we're dedicated. We want to help you guys out. I'm sure you all know that. We do have 3 offices: Anaheim, Newbury Park, San Diego. And we have training in all 3 of those offices, but we also offer it online, which is kind of in a hybrid capacity. So if you choose one of our online classes, you're going to have direct access to Sean and our other instructors through Slack, email, phone call. He does a weekly Zoom meeting to give you your assignment, and then, you know, it's due by the end of the week. So it's not just a set of videos that we set you off with and expect you to do it. We're really there to kind of walk you through the entire process. So as mentioned, you know, we know the local community. We know your pain points. It's our goal to help you guys be successful. If you guys were here last year, we introduced this new project, and it's actually on the table over here. We wanted to take a look at all the products we represent and take a single part file and move it through art to part, right? The whole design to manufacturing phase. So we picked a putter head. We had an older putter. We reverse engineered it with VeriSurf. We scanned it in. Then we actually 3D printed the head of the putter in stainless with desktop metal. And it's such a unique shape that, you know, instead of kind of creating your own work holding on a CNC machine, we decided to print it in, I believe it was carbon peak. And, you know, that frees up a CNC machine. That material has just about the same tensile strength as aluminum. It's holding the part well. It's not marring it. It allowed us to do all our operations and finish that part. They were minimal, you know, with some engraving. We milled the face of the putter and we kind of cleaned up the bottom. But it just kind of shows, it gives you an idea of how 3D printing and additive can kind of help your shops. So for the programming, you know, we can rough the part out with CAM Assist, finish the programming with Mastercam. Then we want to make sure it runs correctly on the machine with simulation. That's where Vericut comes in. Before, during, and after the machining, we have probing routines to make sure that the part's located. We're inspecting it during and after. And then, of course, we're going to scan it in with VeriSurf and make sure that it's exactly what we wanted. So the final thing, which is my favorite, is, you know, you got to take it out on the golf course, see how it does. Did not make me a better golfer. Not much does. I'm terrible. So we used it. It worked out. I loved it. I still stink at golf. So we make all these, or we sell all these products. We service them. We, you know, offer support for them. So just keep an eye out for that. There's also an article that we created. It's a 4-part series. It goes through the entire process of making this part. It's on machinedesign.com. So you go to that website, you click search on the top right in orange, then in yellow just type putter, and then you'll see on the bottom here there's 4 different articles that you can kind of read through. It's a good read. Moving on to West Tech that's coming up. They moved this from Long Beach to Anaheim this year, and they moved it a month earlier. So it's October 7, 8, 9. This is my pitch to everyone to go to the show. We have a big booth right up front, number 1201. We actually have a really cool project that we're working on with 5th Axis, Gosiger, Kennametal, and of course Mastercam. This part's actually been cut and is sitting on a machine. I think they're doing some cutting today on it. I just heard that this morning. But it's an Okuma M560V 5-axis machine. So during the breaks, at lunch, go and check that thing out. It's a cool part. It's kind of like a aerospace amalgamation. It's got a bunch of different aerospace features on the part. So it's pretty cool. The other thing we're doing is we're taking part in a panel discussion on the middle day of the show. It's at 2:30. So this is focused on like the mindset that a good programmer should be in. How are you going to continuously improve yourself? You know, if you're doing the same thing you've always done, there's really no room for improvement. But if you are willing to think outside the box, pressure yourself, you know, when you get into a situation where you just have to get a part cut, what kind of mentality do you have to do to make sure that part gets cut? So we have an amazing panel up here, you know, except me, I'm just the moderator. We have some really smart guys up here that are going to talk about this, and I'm going to kind of steer them through the discussion. So we have James Mayette from Selway. He's a machinist. He's a programmer. He's, you know, very active on the Mastercam forums. We have Nico Amato. He's a contract programmer. Right now, he's kind of taking residency in Aerojet Rocketdyne, so he's cutting some funky stuff over there. always has to be, you know, bending the will of the software or working with in the constraints of the machine or the work holding or the tooling to make sure that he's getting things done on time. And then we have Rob, who I apologize, his head is kind of half cut off there. We'll fix that one. But he's our technical applications director. He's been with CCCS for 25 years, so you all probably know him or have seen him. If you're interested, we have some free registrations for all of this. If you're going to go to the show, you know, you can navigate your way to the websites and all this. But if you want to, you know, scan either one of these codes, that'll get you free registration for either the show or the panel. We'll do a follow-up email, and I'll put all this stuff in there as well. So if you don't feel like taking a picture now, that's cool. Later on, if you want me to pull this back up, just come find me. Happy to do that. So that's it for me for now. I'm going to pass it over to the sales manager for Gosiger. It's Wayne Myers.
Morning, guys. Guys, welcome in. Thanks for making your way here today. I just want to give a brief introduction of us. By the way, only one E in my name. Sorry, Graham. Oh, really? Yep. All good. So we're about 103 years old this year. Over 500 employees. Most of our people are involved in support aspect of our customers, either service technicians or applications engineers. Quickly, I'll just go through our lineup. We are primarily focused on Akuma. We are sole distribution for about a third of the country. We have some other brands as well, so big or small, we've got needs covered. Sorry, you want me to be in there? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're good. Okay, so number of locations around the country. We are one here in Southern California. We have representation up and down the West Coast, and primarily in the Midwest. We have a high volume division. So this is Swiss machines. This is parts cleaning and some very high production turning. Again, Swiss machines, we offer the Nomura line. We are the importer of this. We should probably close that door. We do custom automation as well. So big or small, we have off-the-shelf automation up to very highly customized production lines. We've been doing that since about 1988. Over the last couple of years, we've really developed our kind of catalog order of automation solutions. This is branded as AWR. And these are, you'll see a couple examples of this out in the showroom, but these are, more or less plug and play automation solutions. And this is, something that can be done even at a high mix, low volume kind of application where, a lot of people think that automation requires high volumes. It's really not the case. We do process engineering, turnkeys, contract engineering. So if you guys need help programming or with your process development, we do that as well. Very strong service group that's available, 24/7 call center. For technical support, we also offer equipment financing. So again, 100-year-old company. We've got a large operating footprint. We've been around for a long time. We'll be here for a long time. We've got strong relationships with the brands we represent in all facets of the support of the equipment. You're welcome to follow us on social media, and thanks for being here. Thanks, guys.
You didn't tell me there was going to be an extra remote. What the hell is this?
Throw you off.
Yeah, perfect, great. At least I have an excuse now. Good morning, welcome everybody. My name is Sean Bellamere. I'm the training manager here at CAD-CAM Consulting. So what I'm not going to do is talk about training. Welcome on the World Wide Web, everybody that's watching in. Quick question for you, and please be honest. How many of you guys have used another CAD-CAM system other than Mastercam? I have. Okay. I feel like some of you guys are lying by not raising your hands, but whatever. Point is that most of them are about 90% the same, aren't they? Okay, so what makes Mastercam different, or what are we striving for to make ours better, so to speak? Because in the end, all we're trying to do is put a part in our hand. And so what I'm going to talk to you about today is, and kind of finally diving into the new Mastercam software in 2026, are some of the workflow items. And that's been a big subject over the past few years, is getting less mouse clicks to get to where you want to go. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. I've got a little PowerPoint here as well, and then I'm also going to dive into Mastercam and actually discuss a way to create tools in Mastercam now as well. So and don't panic, it's like nothing, oh my God, I've never seen this before, earth-shattering. But it's a way to get you through the menus with less mouse clicks, and that's a good thing. So first off is the machine group setup. The workflow is easier, and it's not a huge change. Again, if you're currently using 25 or 24 or something like that, you're not going to look at 26 and go, I don't even know where to begin. All it pretty much is as you can see here, is they've taken in your machine group settings and they finally added all the stuff, okay? 25 and previous, there were 3 things. Now you have all 6, including the tool settings, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Another way to access your tool manager and develop tools and things like that a little bit easier. So again, it's not a big thing, but it's one of those things where you'll find yourself doing less mouse clicks to get to the same spot. Now, in tool creation, one of the things they did is they kind of made this more like ladder style, tree style menu, which is a lot easier to use. And so in just a moment, I'm going to go out into Mastercam and show how to create that. But keep in mind, and this is something that I want to drive home to all you. Hopefully, you all use your tool libraries, save your tools. If you've had me in class before, you know my feelings on tool libraries. I never understand why people insert the same tools, the same speeds and feeds, all the stuff, and then don't save them. Use your tool libraries. You can use it the way you did the first day you used Mastercam 20 years ago, or you can use some of the new stuff. But the nice thing is that it's all found in the same umbrella and in the same tool manager. So let me jump out into Mastercam here. Whoops. I knew I'd screw that up. And I'll just grab a milling machine. I'll attempt to grab a milling machine. So, as I mentioned a minute ago, you can grab your machine group properties here, of course. You always still have your tool manager. If you'd like to, from a job-to-job standpoint, go through the tool settings tab, you can also access it here. Again, it's just less mouse clicks. Well, from the tool manager, and I actually had a saved tool manager here. Give me just a second. For those of you that have been in my training classes, remember I name them junk so we don't use them in real life. Okay, so ultimately this is what we could end up having. I did a bunch of different iterations of this so you can see I have multiple copies. Now, if I want to create an assembly from scratch, I have tools, I have holders, I need the two together, talking milling now, that creates an assembly. Well, what we've always had, we've had the ability to create a tool assembly. You can start with the assembly, tool number, etc. But remember, the assembly is the combination of tool and holder. Okay, and I think people tend to get lost on which is which. If I'm building the assembly, we're tying the two together. So I'll jump into the assembly tree here. We can add a holder. You can create holders. You can import holders. You can use Mastercam. Sky's kind of the limit here. And if I right-click, I'll just import from library. Of course, it found mine again. So let me. Let's see, users. I did not anticipate it changing the path here. Give me just a second. Where are we at here? Users, public, documents, 2026, and mill tools. There we go. Look at that. Been doing this too long. I can almost do that in my sleep. Okay, so I pick one of Mastercam's default holders. There it is. You can make changes to it. You can change its name. Once again, sky's the limit. Now, when you add a tool, I'll just grab one of mine. Okay, whoops, wrong size tool. Don't do that. Good news is I can delete and add a new one. Let's see. Close enough. Okay, the good news is that within this assembly, I still have full control over tool edits, holder edits. a lot of people think that once I have this assembly built, it's done. I have to do a new one if I want to make edits, and that is absolutely not the case. In this tool assembly tree, I can right-click and I can edit just the tool individually. So what they've changed and made better, kind of like the machine group properties, is you can work with the different tree style buttons here. Tool number, what type of tool, of course, all your logistic stuff, cutting diameter, flute length, tip treatment, which again is basically what type of tool is it, and of course your speeds and feeds, all the other savable items, coolant, etc. You can use your next button to toggle through these items, hit OK, hit OK. I have this all set and ready to go. Okay, once you have taken those, and just to kind of speed the process up, I'll add a couple that I have previously messed with here. Then if you'd like to save these items to a library, it's no different than it's always been. I can right-click and just save them to library and you're done. Okay, so I really like this because, again, with less mouse clicks, number one, in the classroom, I have to teach you less things. Okay, we get through the day faster. But I also have the root menus that I've always had. Okay, if you're used to using the tool managers, great, because this is still the same old manager it's always been, but with user-friendly items inside of it to kind of help work things along and get your assemblies saved. And don't forget, guys, if you have assemblies and tool libraries from older versions, they're very easily updatable. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that a few mouse clicks and your assemblies are moved into the new software. So you don't have to start over. If you ever have questions on how to do that, you can reach out to myself or one of the other tech support staff. We can get that done for you. Lastly, and this is a quick one, but you may have noticed in Mastercam 2026, this little guy right here. And I cannot tell you, one of those things when we at CAD-CAM first got like the preview versions of Mastercam, we looked at that and went, okay, it's the same thing, just not down here anymore. Use the hell out of this, gang. This is one of those things to where basically anything having to do with planes, 2D, 3D, is right here in front of you. And I got to tell you, especially as I'm getting older, now I'm using reader glasses, which I hate to admit, having something right in my face is a nice thing to have. Okay, so you can access your planes right through here. You can change your graphics view, your coordinate system, construction tool planes. You can even switch between 2 and 3D. And the other thing that's cool is you can even create a plane from right here too. Okay, you don't even have to dive into the manager to do any of that. So that's one of those things, again, just kind of a small, minute change, but it's less mouse clicks and it's right in your face. Okay, so there's some of your workflow stuff. I've talked enough, and time to move on to the next victim. So, thank you. Sorry, Graham.
That's all right.
So excited about
Thanks, Grant. Yep.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Josh Lemaster, and I'm one of the applications guys on the team for CAD-CAM Consulting, as well as I do some training and see some familiar faces in here, so it's good to see some of you. And if you don't like the training, talk to my boss over here. That's up to him. So I'm going to be going over some enhancements in the milling side of the software here. So as you can see there, we have priority, safety, motion, and void support for solid holes. And then we're going to go over controlling flat area machining with critical depths. And then they added some color selection in the other 2D milling toolpaths that just hasn't existed in the previous versions of Mastercam. So I'm going to jump. I have some PowerPoints here, but mostly what I'm going to do is in the software, so I'll kind of show this here. I'm actually going to show the void support here first. So there's a new checkbox basically in 2026 that is off by default, and you can now have a hole that's on like a collinear plane where the two holes are aligned. Before in Mastercam, you had to basically, if you wanted to say spot drill it or you wanted to chamfer it or something, you would have to create two separate toolpaths basically, because it would recognize the hole all the way through both sides of the void and everything. Well, in 26 now you can select them separately, which is really neat. And then you can do it in one toolpath basically, right? Just select two holes on a collinear plane. So I'm going to show that here, and then I will also in the same file as well show this priority safety motion, which is cool. So let me go over to Mastercam here and see if I can find my files. Let's see here. I need Sean's reading glasses. I guess we're all getting old, huh? This one. All right, so like I mentioned, in Mastercam 2025 and previous versions, whenever you had a hole like this on the same plane, then you would get one toolpath and you wouldn't have the ability to chamfer both sides. So I'll show that here a little bit, and let me move the prompt out of the way here, hide that. So I have, this is your selection, right, your geometry selection or your solid hole selection in Mastercam. Everybody should be familiar with that. In the advanced tab now, under the 5-axis drilling, and I'll show that too, you have this include void. So that is checked. So this is basically how Mastercam used to be. So I'm going to show you, right? And you would come in and select, for instance, let me delete this here and go in and select here. So you can see it's automatically grabbing this other hole and reading it, right? So if I click over here, I cannot get a separate arrow, right, on the solid hole. I'm limited. I would have to create another toolpath to, like I mentioned, to spot drill that, to chamfer that, etc. So now in Mastercam 2026, this is off by default, the include voids. So when I come over to selection, now when I click on the solid hole, I can also select the other one over here, make sure my arrows are going in the correct direction, green check, and I'm going to jump into the parameters here, guys. So you need to be on, obviously, 5-axis output, right, for your tool axis control. And, you know, set the other parameters, a safety zone, all that good stuff, right? We'll take a look here just for time's sake. I'm going to green check. And you can see now we can do it in one toolpath like I mentioned, whereas before this would have to be two separate toolpaths, okay? So just a nice little enhancement there in Mastercam. Hopefully it makes your life easier, right? That's the goal. You know, one little step at a time over a lot of toolpaths, a lot of years. It's big improvements, right? So that's one really cool thing. Again, that's off by default, okay? So that is in the geometry selection under the advanced tab. If you're used to the way 25 worked and you're like, I need that hole to go all the way through, then you can go back to that. But, you know, now you have this option, which is, I think it's really cool and helpful for operations like this. All right, and then I'm also going to show in the same file here, under safety zone. So again, we're still in 5-axis mode for output, right? Under our safety zone here, they added a priority motion option for your retract length, right? So you have 3 new options now. You have minimized length, which is shortest distance, right? Then you have minimized angle, which is basically try and get it in the least amount of motion on the axes, on the rotaries, right? That you can so you can minimize that, right? So if I do, I'm going to show this here. If I do minimize length, you'll see here that I'm going to get motion like this, right? So I'm going to green check here. and I have basically like the shortest distance, if you would, right? If I go in and I say, no, I want to do a minimize angle right here, it gives me, like I mentioned, the shortest, the least amount of rotary motion that it needs, right? It's trying to limit and do less of that, be direct that way. And then you also have this balanced as well, and that's just trying to do a combination of both. Okay, so you can select one or the other, and then the balance is kind of trying to balance both of them as best it can. In this case, it's we could try it. I think it's not going to do much besides one of them. Yeah, so it's just picking the minimum angle, I believe. Minimize angle, yeah. So anyways, if you have, kind of a motion that you're trying to go around on your clearance there for multi-axis, like drilling or different things, right? It just could be kind of helpful to, if you don't want your rotaries spinning around a lot, maybe you have the option to minimize angle and minimize distance, right? Think of it like a aircraft flying around. Like if you fly to Asia, you fly over Alaska, right? Shortest distance kind of thing. It's that same concept, right? So I know this part's it kind of shows it with the sphere nicely, I believe. It's not overly complex, so you can see, like I mentioned, I'd like to think of it like a plane flight, right? You're flying across the globe, shortest distance, etc. Minimize angle, minimize length, right? So that's those are some neat new enhancements for that. I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint here, and they also included, so a new thing is critical depths in OptiRough, right? So let me jump into Mastercam to show this. Let me pull up a file here. See how fast this computer is, huh? Yeah, we're going to metric units. Cool. So in OptiRough here, under our cut parameters, we have a new critical depths option in Mastercam 2026, okay? So keep in mind, this is for step downs. We still have the ability to do step ups. Nothing has changed. It's been we've added functionality, right? Mastercam's added functionality, which is cool. So in a case like this, right, you have a feature, you have flats here, right? And you could use step ups. That'd be one way of doing it. But if you're kind of stepping down like this, maybe you want it to grab some of these floors, right? And get some critical depths. So you can do it two ways now. The critical depths here, you can include flats, so it'll kind of manually just detect them and pick them up, right? Which is really cool. Or you can select them manually. So if you're like, oh no, I really want to force a depth cut to this level, it's really cool. Now you can force it to that depth, and it'll go around and machine everything at that depth, which is, again, maybe you only need it for certain applications, but it's more power, more functionality, and makes you a better programmer in that instance that you need it. So if I hit include flats right here, I'm going to show you what it does. So you could see when I kind of tipped it to the front view there, it wasn't getting the bottom floors. And we'll regenerate this here. So this could be helpful too if you're close, like if you're cutting, say, 100% of your tool diameter, 150% of your tool diameter, right? And you're really close to that floor, maybe you want to grab, that critical depth, or maybe it's a little bit above or something. It's just really helpful to grab it with the critical depths. And you can see now I'm getting the flats, right? Now, if you notice, it did add a tool path, but I am getting those critical depths that I want, okay? So again, just a nice enhancement that'll hopefully make your life easier. And the last thing I'm going to show here is in Contour, they have, let me go to, I'm in the wrong plane. Hang on one second. I'm in the wrong, let me flip this to top here. Isometric. So I go back to contour here. I'm going to grab just a feature here, just to show this. And you're probably familiar with it, I'm sure, in other toolpaths. You have the dynamic motion. They have the color selection for chaining geometry, right? So they just added this in the contour toolpath, and I believe a few others as well. It was in the dynamic toolpaths, and I believe like Peel Mill and those, right? So they just added it in contour. It's a nice little addition, right? It's helpful because now you can see, okay, I chain my geometry, it's green. And again, you can change these colors if you don't like the color and you're like, it's hard for me to see, you can change. But it's just easier to see now, right? It's easier to see, okay? Green chain, avoidance model, etc. Right? In contour, it's pretty straightforward because we're not doing a lot of usually avoidance stuff and different things. But in dynamic, I'm sure you've all have used it and it's been pretty helpful. So just a nice little additional enhancement there. All right, and I believe, oops, got the wrong thing. Did I go back to PowerPoint? There we go. Thank you. Any questions? All right, either I did a good job or I didn't, so. Thank you.
All right, good morning, guys. I'm Rob Dusenberry, Technical Applications Director here at CAD-CAM. A few of you guys have seen me around for the last 28 years or so. Right? The gray hair guys know me. And the no hair guy, right. So I'm just going to go through a few more enhancements in 26. We have a new feature, tapered helical entry. I want to kind of break that down and show you why we added that. Some enhancements to the edge breaking or the deburr toolpath. Some things that we noticed in 25 and we cleaned up in 26. And I'm going to go through the wireframe toolpath. So again, the gray hair and the no hair guy. If you guys remember the wireframe toolpaths, I think when we discussed when we were going to do this, they all agreed that I was going to be the one to talk about it since I probably used it at one point. So, and we put that in Milturn. So let's go in. Oh, and also one of the things we're going to talk about is this verify selection. So let me bounce into Mastercam, and let me find my stuff. This one is just a nice, clean enhancement that helps you guys with some really busy models. As you know, trying to select and trying to select something that is deep down and buried inside of a model, and you start hoping you can click on it. You're clicking your mouse all over, and I don't even know what level things are on. So so just to kind of show you this nice clean one. Notice when I hover over my mouse, or I hover my mouse over the part, now what happens when I bring this in, it'll give me a number, and it's like there's one of 7 features. And so what I can do now is not move my mouse, let that hit, and when I right click, I can see, like, if I'm going to grab, let's say, this surface here, and hide it, and I can grab that surface. So just another thing that is going to make your life a little easier. And depending on the view you're in, it'll find that number. And again, it's just a right click and then bring up the what level it's on, and you can easily select that and move on your very way. So let's go back. Let's go back in the PowerPoint. Yeah. So the tapered helix. Again, you might look at something like this and say, well, that's cool, but you know, it's kind of just a switch, right? Why do we have this switch? Well, let's go back to when we started with dynamic milling. It was all thought about based on the tool and giving you guys control of the cutting tool, with the step overs and just the whole motion. And I'm assuming all of you guys are now using dynamic. Let's hope. Okay. So with that in mind, we decided that, hey, we need to control the tool actually getting into the material now. And how are those chips going to come out? And something as simple as just throwing a switch with tapered helix is going to be a huge advancement for you guys. Let me see, tapered helix. Let's just kind of grab a part, switching back. Okay, so let's take a look at this entry, and we'll run it in Verify. So this is the standard, typical, let's do some clipping. Oops. No, hold on. I got my clipping off. There we go. So let's just kind of clip this and step it through. So this is what you guys are used to using. Obviously, the tool will come in as a helix motion. And if we kind of bring this in here, you can see once that tool gets down to full depth, then it's going to start cutting. And as we're doing this, we're just pushing these chips around inside that hole. There's nothing to get those chips out of the hole, unless you're on a horizontal, right? So just a nice little switch here, come into the tool path, and in the entry, just turn on tapered helix, and that's all I have to do, okay? So what it will do is take that motion, you can kind of see it right there, and it uses, so what it'll do is it takes 95% of the tool diameter for the top part of the helix down to 25% of the tool diameter down to the bottom part of the helix, okay? Now keep that in mind too, we're going to tighten up that helix going down. So you might need to slow your feed rates just in case, right? Because it's going to start moving that machine. But let's take a look at the verification on this. And you can see just this quick little enhancement. Again, you don't have to do anything but turn it on. Let's get it down in there. And let's pause that and grab this. All right. All right. So you can see now as it tapers down and as the tool starts to actually start cutting that material. And here we go. Each depth cut, as it starts going, you can see it cuts here, gives a chance for the chips to get out. Make another cut, more release of the chips. And again, respecting the tool, just considering the life of the tool is really what this is doing. So, and again, just something simple. This is why we have these enhancements, because you guys have been requesting them. 3D deburr. How many are you deburring your parts using Mastercam? Okay, just a handful. Take a look at the 3D deburr. every part has to be deburred, and probably one of the most unsafe unsafe processes that you have to do for the finished part. You're literally scraping material away, and you know the problems. So we introduced in 25, we introduced 3D deburr, and we also introduced the ability to use tapered tools. But when that came out, what happened there is when we were cutting with a taper tool and came to an edge, it would cut and then pull out, come back in and cut, pull out. So now we can allow for that tool to stay down. I don't think I need that. I'm going back. There we go. So we can allow for that tool to stay down. And let's go with, let's just go with this. So then I'll show you what we're talking about here. So again, we allowed for chamfer tools, and this is a 25 file, and we'll just kind of get right in here. You can see as this transition from this sharp corner to this sharp corner, it's pulling up and coming back in. Now at the end of the day, all of that's going to deburr, so it's not missing anything. It's just that irritating retract move. And in 26, all you got to do is regenerate. So in 26, when you're actually doing the tool path, it'll just be natural. But if you're bringing in a file or a legacy file, then all I have to do now, and you just saw, is just regenerate the tool path, and tool stays down. It acknowledges those corners, okay? So it's an enhancement you don't have to do anything with, right? Just do it. All right. Okay. One other feature that was at home. I just killed my slideshow. I think that's going to happen a bunch of times here. One other feature that we added with deburring was with undercuts, with lollipop cutters. In some cases, it didn't cut all of the holes in the undercuts with the lollipops. It got a little busy when things were, let's see here, when the undercuts got past like 45 degrees, it just kind of kept pulling up inside this hole, and it just didn't lay down, right? And again, you had to do a lot of trickery and to get that to work, and there was just a lot of things that you could get around it, but we just put in this switch to allow asymmetric edge shape. That's all it is, just a switch. Now it's off by default, okay? And the reason for that is you have legacy files. We want to read those legacy files in, and then you can come back in and throw the switch, regen, you're done. Okay, save it as a 26 file. But it, just keep in mind, is off by default. And all I do is turn it on, and then it respects, we'll have to regenerate here, okay. So it will, again, respect that whole undercut and cut those edges. Oh, I still have my clipping on, hold on. So we get this guy in here. And let's, you know what, let's go in here. can kind of see through it. So you can see that this is kind of where the issue was, in that cross section right in there. And just by throwing that switch, it takes care of it. Again, keeps the tool down and gives you a nice cleaner path.
How are you driving that? Is it surface or edge?
You're grabbing the edges. So in the 3D deburr, just grab the whole part. You grab the whole part. Your machine geometry is the whole part, because you want a gouge check against that. Then you have the option of, if I grab the whole part, I could do the auto detect and it would look for every sharp edge. May not want to do that, not in this case. So with the user defined, I can come in here and just pick, and it's just picking those edges, as you can see right there. Right? And that's all I do. Just pick the edges that I want to work with and throw on the asymmetric. And again, you may want to turn it off in some scenarios too, right? So again, off by default. Very simple toolpath to use, very safe toolpath. Complete gouge checking. And strongly encourage, because again, got to deburr your parts. All right, so last on the list here. Like I said, we added to the mill turn product the wireframe toolpaths. Does anybody even know what the wireframe toolpaths are? And Jay, I already know you know. Okay, and Derek back there. It's funny. This was before we could cut any kind of surface in Mastercam. So I'm just talking about 2026. I'm taking you to 1990 now. Okay, we're going back in the time, because those are how we cut 3D shapes. Same principle as creating surfaces. As a matter of fact, these toolpaths came out before we could even create a surface in Mastercam. And here we are. Version 3, yeah, version 3, version 4 for sure. And here we are. We're putting it into the mill turn product. Believe it or not, it gets a request. A lot of people like this. There's not a lot of code. It's a smooth toolpath. It just gets overlooked. So, kind of shocking to see that it came back, to be honest with you. And I keep not going to Mastercam. It's simple. And again, this is going to be in the mill turn product. So we'll open up mill turn. Then I know I have a few mill turn customers in here. So if you'd like to go back 35 years, almost 40 years in time, here we go. So milling toolpath, here they are. You got your wireframe toolpaths now. Again, they picked the old guy, but they forgot that I got a bad memory. So let me see if I can remember my way through this. Swept 3D. Again, it's going to ask me how many contours I have. I have one. I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to sweep it along that guy. And here's our tool. The old parameter page, again, kind of trying to trigger the memory here. The setup, any of you mill turn people, you're familiar with this. So you got to set up your setup here. But then you're probably not, obviously, familiar with this page. And this is where you literally tell it, this is my step over, this is my across. We'll make this pretty. I can zigzag one way or do circular, stock to leave. I'm thinking 2 inches. I'm not going to cut or comp this. And I think we got it. Let's see if we got it. So we're going to take this tool, And we're literally gonna just follow that contour across. And let's see how it works here. I'm gonna take it into the mill turn simulation, and this ended up, actually I was laughing about it, but this ended up to be one of my favorite enhancements. It's just simple code. Okay. Alrighty. I think that's, let me get out of this. I think that's it for me.
You got one question on the stream.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah,
Okay, what's the question?
It's about deburring outer edge, and someone was asking if you can still use chamfer operations for that.
Deburring outer edge, if you can still use the chamfer, like the contour chamfer. We didn't take anything away from you. The deburr toolpath, let me just open up that file again. The deburr toolpath is just another toolpath in your arsenal to deburr apart. But if you are looking at, and I'm assuming they're mentioning contour, let's just grab something here, that outer edge. You still have that control. So we could still go in here and switch this to 2D chamfer. The downside to this is that you don't have the gouge checking that you would have with the solid modeling and the 3D 3D deburr toolpath. Now let's take this a little bit further. If you already have multi-axis, then you have the deburr toolpath in multi-axis. You can also, you don't have to purchase the 3D. You also get the 3D one. And the advantage to that is it's less code. Okay, the multi-axis toolpath is going to be vector-based code. The 3D deburr toolpath will be less code. It'll be smoother arcs and lines and that kind of thing. Also, it will work with mill level customers. You don't have to have mill 3D. And also, let's not forget about our router people. They have it as well. So that toolpath, the deburr toolpath, does live in here, and it's called deburr 3-axis. Okay. I hope that answered that question. I think we went the right direction with that. I'll wait. And,
I think you're good.
okay. Yeah. Any other questions on the online? Okay. Well then, let me get out of here before I make a big fool of myself. Or bigger fool. Okay, awesome. Frank.
Hi guys, my name is Frank Gonzalez. I'm one of the AEs here at CAD-CAM Consulting. Thank you guys all for taking time out of your day and coming to see us. So what I'm going to be covering today is 2 new features or enhancements, and this is done in turning and mill turn both, so it'll work for both. One of them being the graphical planes display and lathe drill, and again, it also works in mill turn. And then the other one would be importing a lathe GTC tool, which for me was my favorite. It's pretty, I don't know how many of you have created any 3D tools in lathe. It could become a bit of a problem with chaotic, so this simplifies this. So how this works is importing lathe GTC data. So first of all, what is GTC? It's a generic tool catalog. These are like packages zipped up with all the tool data information. So it is a digital format that helps standardize how cutting tool data is shared between different vendors and applications. So this, just streams like the workflow of designing a 3D tool. It just effortlessly integrates the lathe tool data, and this works along the side of the ISO, 13399 standard that there is. And again, the next thing I'll be showing would be, actually, there's one missing here. The other thing would be the graphical planes display. So for lathe, this was implemented into the milling, drilling, and some other tool paths in 2025. So now seeing it in 2026 in lathe, it's pretty cool. I like the colors. I like seeing, and you're able to integrate or click from one point to another, and it just moves together. Was a few things that are missing here, side. I don't know why they're down here, but I did want to show this. So where can you download a GTC file? Like the file that I'm using, I downloaded it from Sandvik. I know there's a few other websites like Tools United, Can of Metal. This is the specific tool I'll be showing. And also, it doesn't show it for whatever reason. It's not showing a gram. I think it's like that. But anyways, you can see here, when you scroll down, once you select your tool, you have the option to download a DXF or step file. Again, you'll have the option, or you'll see this option on the vendor's website for the GTC package. Okay. Just out of this. And now to show you how that works, let me open up a file here. Okay, so I'm in lathe. Again, this would work when being in lathe or mill turn. So to import a tool, the way it works is you'll come into your lathe tool manager here. You're gonna right-hand click in this white field up in the top. You're gonna scroll down to the bottom where it says Import Export Tools, and then Import Tool Data From, and now you'll see this option for the GTC, Generic Tool Catalog. So we're gonna click on this. This will open up a window, which now I'm going to be opening and going into the files that I downloaded. So I downloaded a couple. One, let me see. It's not opening, sorry about that. Were these unzipped, Graham? Or what happened? The same ones I sent over?
Yeah, you want the external? Put them on there unzipped. Should say my passport. It's like H or something.
It's not reading it in the mouse anymore. I think by connecting that. Yes, that's true.
Should show up in a sec. Nothing. Give it a sec.
So once it's reading it, just oh, there we
But now the mouse.
go. Yeah,
isn't
now the
working.
mouse isn't working.
That's weird. We'll put this over here.
also have them on a flash drive as well.
Open up your Frank Files folder right there. Yeah, they're unzipped.
So I'm not sure why it's not reading them.
That,
It's the same ones, right? Frank files. I don't know why it's
Here,
not.
go into, I think that thing popped up now, so go into that My Passport on the bottom there, yeah. And all the way up top, that folder.
Details and show extensions. Oh, it was on, right?
Yeah.
They're not zip.
Hey, Frank,
It should be showing
we
zip.
could always swap out Ryan's video, and then if you want, we could like look at the zip break if you want.
Yeah, let's try that. Oh, and
Just a thought.
I don't know if this would work, but
Looked like that worked. Looked like it unzipped it.
where's John? We need some tech support.
Alright, so that's a zip file.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'll work if it got unzipped and then zip it back up.
So it needed to be zipped?
It needed to be
Oh,
zipped.
okay.
I think I have a copy.
Alright, hang on one sec.
Okay, let me give it one more try, see if that works. So import, export, import tool data, generate tool. And then if I click on open and I select this, stinking, there we go. Okay, so this window will open up. I think there was something that got extracted and I couldn't zip it back up. So anyways, you can see here, there's a whole assembly. There's an insert, there's a holder and an adapter. And you could select, I don't know what this, okay. You can select each one of these individually, or you could do the whole assembly. And if you hover over here on the right-hand side, you'll see it'll show you an image of the components. The one okay. So now to do the whole process, I was gonna use this tool. You go ahead and select it. The next thing would be you validate it. So validating is just Mastercam doing the work in the background of like what you would normally do by selecting your holder, your insert, defining the quadrant where it's gonna be cutting, etc. And then you'll see a green check mark here. That means it's ready to go. So once it's ready to go, you have the option here to save, and you could either save it to your existing part file, which is where we're at, or you could save it to a library. So I'm gonna select part file, and you'll see it updates up in the back. I was playing around with this, and you'll notice that the image that it's showing, it's because I have something in the background. So if I was starting with a new file and there's nothing back there, all you would see is the actual tool itself. But now if I come in here and I double click, you'll see the tools properly defined, and you might have to go in there and change certain things, but all the tool data that came from the website is all integrated in here. So again, something, takes the fun out of like design, like picking your holder, insert everything. It just does it in a few clicks. So, any questions on that?
So you have to have it unzipped.
Yeah, it has to be unzipped. And normally, I'm sorry, zipped. It'll come zipped. Yeah, it has to be zipped. So exactly how you extract it from the tool vendor's website, that's how you take it in. Awesome. Okay, so now the next thing will be the graphical planes, right? In lathe. Let me activate this. So now in turning, when you're doing a drill operation, we'll select our tool, and once you're in the parameters, you'll see this plane display option. You could turn this on and off. So if you don't like it for whatever reason, you don't have to be using it. You could turn it on, turn it off, and you could select what you want to see. So in this case, if I want to see my depth graphical plane here, I could just simply grab it and drag it to, my final depth. I could activate my clearance, my retract, and just move those along wherever need be. Sorry. And go back in here, and you'll see that this also works, by turn it back on. You could turn on and off the labels here. So if you type in a value, it's also associated to it. So again, something simple, but it makes a difference, at least for you to go in there and being able to, like, I just want to go to this depth and not there. So anyways, in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. Those a couple of enhancements. I don't know if you guys have any questions or. Good. Awesome.
All right, thanks, Frank. We're actually.
Thanks all for coming out. My name is Ryan Mermel. I see some familiar faces, a lot of new faces as well. I'm actually out of Chicagoland, so not from the SoCal area, but I'm happy to be here on behalf of Mastercam. I recently came over to Mastercam with the acquisition of Mastercam Probing, or formerly known as CIMCO Probing. So I'm a sales engineer now here at Mastercam, heading up kind of that project and product, and then also still covering a lot of the other CIMCO related products, again, here at Mastercam. So today my portion of it is going to be going over the Mastercam simulation options. Obviously you guys know the ones that come within Mastercam, but may or may not be familiar with the ones that could be an add-in to your software in order to enhance your programming, make you a more efficient programmer using some of the newer technologies such as GPU processing of simulation, things like that. We'll do a quick side-by-side comparison, answer any questions on that, and then we'll move into the Mastercam probing side as well. So just to kind of recap and cover some of the standard options of what you're going to be familiar with within Mastercam as far as simulation is going to be your backplot, your verify, and your machine simulation. Your backplot is obviously going to give you a simple view of backplotting the actual code itself. There's no real setup involved, with it. It's just going to go ahead and show it right there on your screen. It's not going to show you any stock, and it's also not going to do any gouge checking, right? So that's where then we would jump into like a verify. That way we can bring in our stock, we can bring in our fixturing. There's a little bit of setup involved as far as defining those things, but it's also not going to be 100% accurate as far as like approach and retract moves, just because it's going off of the toolpath NCI data, not the G code. We could also then take that to kind of their top level or the final step as far as the machine simulation, and that's where we can actually bring in the machine models. You can occasionally tie it to the post-processor, get a better, accurate representation of what that is, because now we're going to be defining axis limits. We again bring in the CAD models of the actual CNC machine, but again, it's still based on the NCI and the post-processor. Some of the, I'm missing a couple slides, but that's okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, it's hidden. Let me unhide that slide. So again, that's going to be on the Mastercam side. On the CIMCO side, we also have similar to that as well, one called CIMCO Verify. The CIMCO Verify is going to be directly loaded up in Mastercam. I would say it's comparable or equivalent to the Mastercam Verify. The difference is that we are using the CIMCO technology or the kernel from the simulation of what we have in our CIMCO Edit that they developed in-house from the ground up. The big thing there is we leverage the new technology of your graphics card, so GPU processing, and is 10 times at least faster than going off of your CPU instead. So to kind of give you an idea, number one, as you can see, a CIMCO Verify, again, equivalent to the Mastercam Verify. They do offer that with a machine simulation. So again, we can tie in the machine models and do accurate collision checking as part of that. And some of the other options then could actually be getting into the true G-code simulation. So that's going to be like CIMCO Editor, which is more of a backplotter, but specifically for G-code simulation. And then, of course, machine simulation within CIMCO Editor, again, tying in the machine models, axis limit checking, collision detection, things of that nature. So they offer a lot of different varieties as far as where specifically you would want to use that simulation. A lot of people say, well, I'm running a 3-axis part. In my opinion, for the cost of it, if you break a couple tools, right, you've paid for the product right there as it is. Again, to kind of give you an idea as far as what we're talking about, specifically using the GPU for processing, you guys may recognize this part of the goalie mask. This is something one of the older applications engineers at Mastercam did probably a year or two back. In this video, we'll just start rolling it here. We'll just do a quick time difference. And notice we're only bringing in maybe 20 operations as part of it. Okay, so doing some finishing on here. So obviously we're already at a minute, not even loaded up, right? Then we, start playing and it's still loading up in the background as part of that. And then as you can see, in about 6 minutes and 48 seconds, we're finally finished with that grouping of toolpaths as part of that. Now, I'll speak for myself, but I'm not a guy that can program and get it all on the right, first shot. I'm usually going in to verify 20, 30, 40 times in order to make revisions of that, tweak something here and tweak something there, right, and dial everything in. So 6 minutes, 48 seconds. If we look at that within the CIMCO Verify side, again, leveraging your GPU and processing. So we load everything up. We're going to go ahead and play that through. And what you'll notice is that we're at about 21 seconds in order to do that. Right? So drastic time savings is part of it. Now, if you're going in 20, 30, 40 times, you're not spending all day in verification where you actually could be programming maybe another part, feeding the floor, whatever it may be, as part of it. So again, talking about, what can you do or what tools can make you a more efficient programmer, right? This would be one of those that I would strongly suggest maybe taking a look at as well. Okay. Any particular questions on the simulation or the verify that CIMCO has to offer? And even though I'm here with Mastercam, CAD-CAM Consulting is obviously a distributor of CIMCO products. And that leads into my Mastercam probing presentation or section of it. As I used to work for CIMCO, Mastercam Probing was formerly known as CIMCO Probing, and Mastercam acquired the technology or that business in March of this year. So part of that transition is I came over to Mastercam, but I'm still involved with the CIMCO products, overall. So quickly, we'll just go through maybe some of the changes from CIMCO probing to Mastercam probing. We'll go over quickly, what is probing, why to use it, when can you probe, and then perhaps even go through a little live demonstration as far as what that looks like. So like I said, CIMCO probing. Has anyone heard of CIMCO probing in the past? I know there's a couple customers in here. Yep. And out of curiosity, for a show of hands, who has probes on their machines? Okay, so a lot more hands, right? So CIMCO Probing was acquired by Mastercam earlier this year in March. It is being rebranded as Mastercam Probing. One of the biggest differences that is nice about the acquisition is now it's fully within Mastercam, so that means for licensing, but it also means for additional development resources. I hate to admit it, but with CIMCO Probing, there was 3 of us. There was myself in the US, 2 guys in Denmark, and that was it. So needless to say, there was a lot of long hours, late nights, right, in order to support, US, Canada, things like that. Obviously with Mastercam, right, I think there's like 375 people overall, in Mastercam corporate, not even to talk about like Sandvik as a backing and things like that, of course, too. Okay, so a lot of different resources to that. For instance, Mastercam has their own, language group, right, as far as translations. They have their own development teams. They have, for tooling, right? So everything is definitely cross-organization where they have a ton of different resources that can be put into there in order to further develop the product. The other thing is it's going to be aligning to the Mastercam licensing structure. So part of that, if you did already have a CIMCO probing license, that did get integrated into Mastercam as part of it, and tied to your license as that as well. It is going to be working with 2025 Update 7 or 2026. We'll then reference the Mastercam probing licensing as part of it. It is still being developed as an add-on product, right? And so what that really means is that probing is going to be external to the Mastercam build itself. The nice thing about that, and I think one of the benefits that we had at CIMCO being external, is that we developed on our own schedule, which means that we can then get releases out quicker, to the users, right? Whether that be a bug fix, whether that be an enhancement. Again, we can do all that externally and release on our own schedule, and then at that point, the main build of 2026, 2026 R2, right? Those can be pushed in, as needed as well. So for those that maybe aren't familiar as far as what probing is, obviously there's going to be a spindle probe and a table probe. The spindle probe itself is just going ahead and capturing a position. There's going to be macro programs on the CNC control that are doing all the calculations as part of that. There's obviously the body of the probe with the sensors and everything in it, and then of course the stylus, which is actually making contact as part of it. So a couple of reasons on why to use Mastercam probing is we're going to go ahead and program it directly off the same model that you're using for tool pathing, making the programming of the probe a natural part of the process. That way it's going to be put in as a standard operation. You would be able to run it through any of your simulation options, post out as part of your main file, and now you have a single ready-to-go file for the shop floor as part of it. The Mastercam probing does use we'll pick on Renishaw for instance, because they're quite popular here in the States. We do reference the Inspection Plus macros, so those are going to be the standard like 9800 series macros that, if you are using a probe, either through like a VPS or by hand, you'd be recognizing and familiar with those. And then of course we do support more than just Renishaw, so whether that be Bloom, there's Marpos, a ton of different options out there that obviously would be able to be supported, along with any custom cycles can be definitely built out as well using the core technology. So a couple places on maybe where you can incorporate your probing into your manufacturing process would certainly be before machining, and I think a lot of people do that already in order to set work offsets, align the stock to the machine itself. You could also use the probe initially to check for a part orientation, right? Make sure that it's not, flipped 90 degrees. Maybe there's a locating hole or something like that. Again, we could use the probe in different forms or fashions in order to check those kinds of things. You could obviously then start incorporating the probing in during machining, right? So that could be to check a feature, maybe do an if-then conditions as we refer to it as, which is going to do a cut, measure, cut scenario. But also checking for broken tools, again, before spending more time cutting, the actual part itself. And then finally, right, we could do post-machining, which is then going to be maybe if there's a hard feature to reach, we could check it within the machine, all without pulling that part out, putting it on a granite plate, whatever case may be. And along with getting, live data or live results out from the machine using like a deep print kind of statement. So to give you guys an idea here, if I pop up Mastercam, you'll notice I have, obviously this part, I'll go ahead and maybe get rid of these operations to start. So with Mastercam being an add-in, right, we would have our own dedicated tab here, and the cycle probing icon is going to be the main option that would be used. Now, what we're doing here is we are dividing up the standard Renishaw inspection routines into these 4 different categories. So alignment is going to be aligning any rotary axes to the part, or the part to the rotary axis itself, and putting that into the work-off register of an A, B, or C axis. Workpiece datum, its only or primary job is to set a 0 point on the part itself, so that would be kind of our before machining aspect. And then workpiece inspection is using those same exact cycles, but now we're just using it a different way. Instead of setting a work offset with an S value, now we're going ahead and checking that part. We have data as part of it. We can give it tolerances. That's where those if-then conditions can come into play. A number of different options there we could do with it. Along with then probe detection. So probe detection is kind of unique in the sense where when the probe is moving around, we have a protected safety move. And that way if the stylus were to be tripped, we're going to stop the machine without crashing it. And so you could check a part orientation. You could check to see if a toe clamp's been removed, before sending a cutter through. Again, a number of different ways you could do that in order to achieve more automation and less hands-on with the operator. So for instance, for setting a work offset on something like this, let's just say I wanted to set like an X and Y, we could go workpiece datum, kind of do a process of elimination, figure out what the best routine would be here. Maybe we'd settle on like a rectangle outside feature. Within there, right, we obviously have a probe. Probe just needs to be defined as a lollipop mill. In this case, right, we do have the full profile defined of the actual probe itself. And then because we're within Mastercam, we're going to want to be associated to geometry, right? So that way if the geometry ever moves, grows, shrinks, anything like that, we're tied to it. We just simply need to regenerate the operation, and we're back off to the races again. So depending on the cycle, right, we're going to have different geometry selection options. In this case, maybe I'll say from stock, right? My stock is set up here, so that's good. We pull what we can off of that. So X0, Y0 is where it's at. We have my width and my height. And then now it's just up to me to say, okay, this is how deep we want to go. Maybe this is how much we want to stand off the surface. And maybe this is my clearance height. Again, because we're within Mastercam, and for those that would recognize these being yellow fields, you can certainly right-click in as part of there, and then again grab geometry or information off of the graphics window, itself, getting a live updated feedback as part of it. But in this case, since we are setting a work offset, I can maybe give it a little over travel distance, tell it my work offset we need to set, and then we're good to go. From that point, it's now a valid operation. We could run it through graphics if needed. And then ultimately, if we post out, you'll see that we have the easily recognizable Inspection Plus code. That you're most likely used to seeing, right? So probe on commands are 9832 for, this is posting out for a FANUC. 9832 probe on, protected safety moves are 9810. 9812 is our width cycle in X, width cycle in Y, up out of the way, turn the probe off at that point, okay? So again, just a simple kind of operation, but everything follows that same workflow. For instance, maybe there was this center bore, maybe it's a critical, feature, tight tolerance, right? I'd be able to do the same thing in process where we can actually go in, we set it up like a normal operation using the inspection cycle, right? Measuring that particular bore. In this one, I am writing the diameter, the actual diameter, into a pound variable, so that way I can look at the macro variables page. Some controls will display it in somewhere on the main page, right? So the different options there you could certainly do. But in this one in particular, I'm also leveraging our if-then conditions. So Mastercam Probing considers that feature to be in one of these three conditions. It could either be scrap, which in this case being a bore would mean there's too much material removed and there's no salvaging it. It needs to be remachined, so in this case it'd be too small, or it's within tolerance. And so we can tell it if it's scrap, maybe I want to do a manual entry. Maybe I want to do, probably don't want to continue on making a bad part, but maybe I want to do an M0 to stop it, go to the end of file. Like I said, I personally like to do a manual entry. If I'm on a FANUC style control, I'll do like a pound 3000 equals 1, give it a custom alarm message, that way the operator knows why the machine's stopping. If it needs to be remachined, if I needed to babysit it, maybe I do a similar approach and again stop the machine, and you guys can determine what do you want to do with it from that point. But otherwise, maybe you want to go back to the operation that we finished that at, and maybe we want to recut that. That's where we could say go to an operation. We'd be able to select that operation out of the list. I can see it was a contour, finish center bore is my operation comment, and now we're going to recut and rerun that particular part. If we're within tolerance, then we'll continue on like normal. In addition to that, you'd be able to use the Renishaw macros that allow you to do a tool offset update. You can give it a tolerance of when it's going to be met. If it is out of tolerance, it can obviously update the tool. You can tell it a percent of deviation, but maybe not to exceed a value, right? All of those controls are going to be built into the Renishaw macro, and that makes it very easy to put in that data right here into the Mastercam window. The nice thing is again, if we take those and we post it out, we handle all the formatting for you. So if we actually look at the code this time, there it goes. What you'll notice is that we're automatically putting an insertion label, right, a sequence number, so that way we can have a point to restart to. Obviously, the first time we're just reading, top down, so we just cut the feature. We're coming in doing the actual probing itself. You'll notice there's a couple extra inputs here to the macro. Here's where I'm actually copying in that data, right? So Renishaw is writing into these common variables, and those are being overwritten per probing cycle. So by copying in that to a user-defined variable, it's going to stay there so you can reference that data later, use it in the calculation, whatever you may need to do. But then what you'll notice is we have these if-then conditions, right? So we're referencing the pound 143 variable, which on a FANUC is going to be the deviation based on the diameter of that bore. And so we're saying if that deviation is greater than or less than the tolerance I gave it, now we're sending it to a different label, right? We're actually scrapping it out. Maybe we need to do the remachine and rerunning and cutting it again. Otherwise, we're within tolerance and continuing on like normal. So again, that's all going to be output for you with minimal, setup within the GUI. The last thing to kind of highlight on the probing is, again, using it post-machining. Again, we can use it to check features, again, all within the machine without removing it, from the fixturing or whatever, the work holding may be. We can obviously output that data into different reports, but one thing that could also be done is using our probing inspect. And probing inspect actually will take the results from the machine using like a deprint statement, and that allows us to actually import it back into the Mastercam file and save it natively in the file itself. That way, if we wanted to see where things are at, we can overlay to a view like this and see that data. We can see that this particular feature, this concave feature, was actually overcut. My tolerance was 3 thou, so that measured at 3 thou 2/10, right, as part of it. The other ones are within, and that's why I'm seeing the color difference there. in addition to that, we could obviously create a probing, report, right? And then that way have some type of information to go along, with it. So again, you can certainly reference the probing and incorporate it into your program, again, in a number of different ways and areas to better the workflow. Any particular questions?
So this is an add-on?
It is an add-on. Yep. Yep.
If we already purchased the CIMCO Probing,
Yep.
will it be an automatic add-on?
Correct. So
License? 2026 or?
2025 update 7 or 2026. Yep. So it would have been the data basically would have been merged in already to your HASP, NetHASP, Weeboo Networkable Weeboo license, and so then you would most likely just need to update your license. Sometimes that's like a deactivate, reactivate, more or less. You could go through the help menus in other instances to I forget where it is, but you can go ahead and check for license updates. Check for updates. Show new licensing updates. Right, you could do it that way as well if it's hosted locally. So if anyone's running a HASP, right, those are the purple dongles. That one does require what's called an ACC file, and that's something that CAD-CAM would be able to provide if you guys need it. So. But then at that point, right, just 2025 update 7 or Mastercam 2026, we'll be able to know how to read that information correctly. Yep.
I got a question on here.
Yes.
How to set a probing cycle in B90? That makes sense?
In B90, so I'm assuming they're referring to a rotation as, in the part itself. So if the machine were to be a 4 or 5 axis, then we could do like a 3+2. So similar to a toolpath, right? You would create at that tilted plane. You would do the same thing with the probing. You could have your WCS, we'll say top for this example, and then your tool and construction plane at that particular skewed plane, which will output the rotation. And then obviously it's going to be probing from that point. So no real difference there. So.
Is the post-processor integrated into your existing Mastercam, or how do you distinguish between different control types?
Yeah, so the post processor for those that aren't running probing yet, there are some post modifications that do need to be implemented into the post processor. They're fairly simple changes, so but they just need to be done in there. And part of that is going to be defining what probe and what control type it's going to be on. So whether it's a Renishaw on an Akuma control, a Haas, a Fanuc, right, Matsura with their PQI macros. So that's where we define those different portions there as part of it. So I would say the best bet would be just reaching out if needed and sending them a zip to go on that. So and then also like the mill default post in 2026 does contain that logic already. So. Yep. Yes, sir.
Are there any plans for you guys to move this into the Milton product?
So.
I've baked for years.
Yeah. So it's kind of a touchy subject, and the reason being is because it's not technically supported. At CIMCO, we did, to say lightly, we did workarounds in order to get a working solution, but it certainly wasn't, the most ideal way to do it either. So I know that plans are, and I think Yvonne could probably speak to this too, but I know there are plans to redevelop the, probing for mill turn and further into lathe, things like that. So, yeah. Yeah.
Do you support Hindi in control?
Yeah, so we do support Heidenhains. That was the question was, do we support Heidenhain controls? So yes, we do support Heidenhain. We do support Siemens. For Siemens and Heidenhain both, we do reference their native probing cycles, right? And then that's all going to be defined again within the post processor, where we'd be able to tell it, okay, this is my Heidenhain, and we can see all their standard probing cycles here. If it's a Siemens control, right, we would define that as well. Which then are the standard cycle, and then 9, something, right, would be part of that too. we do have a number of other native controls. You know, Akuma has their own native probing macros that we do have support for. Makino, I think, does as well, right? So a number of different ones there. So. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
One of your competitors offers a best fit solution. Do you
Okay.
guys offer anything like that in Cypress?
So we're not doing any best fitting, you know, as part of it, at least natively connected to, you know, the CNC machine is part of that. So, I guess it would just depend on what you're, you know, going after as part of it. So, you know, I have had customers take the data from the machine, bring it back into Mastercam, you know, align it to those kind of points, but it's not a live connection, you know, to the machine to feedback data. So, yep. Yes, sir.
Training.
Yep. So training wise, I mean, there's a number of different options, whether, you know, Mastercam or CAD-CAM consulting. I will say prior to CIMCO even, I did work for a reseller as part of that and had to, you know, try to implement some of the other probing solutions, you know, before that point. So what I will say to that too is if you're familiar with your probe and actively using it, you kind of already know that. You kind of already know Mastercam, right? And so now it's just learning, you know, a sliver as far as how do we merge the two together. A nice thing too that works well, I feel, is that even within the cycles, if we look at some of the options here, you'll see like Q is an over travel distance. If you're maybe looking at your CNC programs that you know you've written by hand, you can see, okay, Q needs to be 125, right? And it's easily, you can match that over into your Mastercam program. We also have like a preview window, you know, in order to see what, you know, those changes are live as part of that. But yeah, that could either be usually remote, on-site, you know, in classroom, a number of different options depending on, you know, where each user is at in the process. So, but being that we are referencing, you know, in this case, like the standard Renaissance macros, right? One of my biggest things I leverage in my trainings is going to be the Renaissance Spectrum Plus manual, just because that's where you can actually see where are the variables being written into, and why are we, you know, referencing like I said, a pound 143, you know, what is a Q, what is a 9814, you know, and we can make, you know, clear understandings as far as what that's doing. So any yes, sir.
What is the cost for the add-on for that?
So the software itself is a $3,000 add-on, and then it'd be plus maintenance as well.
And that includes training for one user?
Training is generally separate outside of that, and that's something that Ashley or whoever else could obviously, you know, see what would be a good fit for you guys. So,
Does that include the post-processor modification?
yeah, yep, yep.
And with that is, the different controls that you already have on your Mastercam, it's gonna be able to, give a G-code for each one of those controls?
Yes, yep. So technically, if you had like a single license, but 5 different posts, right, you could program each of those machines because we're using a license, you know, a user license, not a per machine license. So, yep. Sorry.
Will that work as like a CMM integrated Mastercam?
So I don't want to say it's going to replace the CMM, right? Because in my opinion, any error in the machine tool, right, is going to be showing up, you know, perfect, right, in your results that you're measuring. So it's always good to check again with a third-party gauge, you know, and cross-validate things. But the probes, as long as your calibration and, you know, indicating in your Ruby, right, they're repeatable, you know, within, you know, a few microns, right? So with that being the case, in my opinion, it's good to check it there at the machine before ripping it out and determining, oh, you know, crap, I'm oversized or undersized, whatever it may be. It's also very consistent, right? So we're going at the same, you know, the probe's going at the same feed rates to check things, where maybe one operator, you know, has a little bit different touch and feel, right, as far as that goes. Again, maybe it's a part that needs to be, brought into a granite plate, put a height gauge on. There was actually one I was working with Rob on at a technical conference. And it was just a business card holder, but the back side of that business card holder was pretty thin. And so, again, that would have required me to take it out of the machine, put a height gauge on to find the differences. But with the probe, I was able to align, to the middle of that thin edge, right? Probe in Z on the back side, probe in Z on the front side, do a feature to feature to find the difference in height and give me that data. So I know that, okay, it is within spec before ripping it out, to properly check it and document as well. So, yep. Yes, sir.
So I noticed you have tool setting and breakage.
Yep.
Are you also compatible with Bloom lasers as well?
Yes. Yep. And Bloom is actually an active project that we're working on, in integrating all of their laser systems into the software as well. So, yep.
Oh, TNC7, do you support that?
So yes, we do have support for the TNC7. It's actually using the 640 control, just because there were no additions to the TNC7 from the 640. But so everything is backwards compatible in that fact. So yep.
We have 4 seats of Mastercam.
Okay.
If we buy one of these, we have a network license.
Sure.
Can that be used with any of the?
So as long as it's a networkable license, yes. Yep.
And the training is done at the Anaheim facility?
That would have to be a question for one of the CAD-CAM guys.
It's flexible. It'd be on a case by case basis.
Okay. Yep. Any last questions? Okay, very good. Well, I'll be obviously, yes, sir. Yeah.
On the tool detection, if the tool broke, sometimes they're so sensitive that when they're dull, the whole machine actually stops, like thinking the tool broke, but it's actually gets dull.
Okay.
Does that happen a lot with this system? With the probing?
I mean, we'd have to probably talk about it and see, specifically what or how you're programming it, because obviously there's different inputs that, will tell it tolerances, for either breakage or pull out, as part of that, right? So what's the threshold? So, I mean, if it's dull, are we talking length or diameter, I guess?
Well, just the length, yeah.
On length, yeah, I mean, so there's generally, it knows what the nominal should be, and then based on what it measured, there's usually a tolerance associated to that to say, did it break because we're not, it's measuring too short, or it pulled out, we're measuring too long now. So usually it's just a simple in or out of tolerance, more or less, so.
You started using it. The other question is, I want to start using it also. You said that let's say the diameter is small by 2,000 or 3,000,
Mm-hmm.
and it will detect that it's small.
Yep.
Like an ID.
Yep.
Will it automatically adjust itself on,
Yes.
on the tool,
Ye-
like on the CAD-CAM?
Yeah, so as long as you have the option is enabled, the Renishaw macros do allow for like a T number, right, which is the tool number that needs to be updated. You could also pair that with like an F, which is their feedback percentage. So if it's just the T, it's gonna comp the tool by 100% the deviation that it found. The F in conjunction with that says, maybe I only want to update 60% of the deviation found. That way it accommodates for any, maybe backlash or spring passes, right, things like that. Obviously there's a tolerance to work with, right? So instead of going 100% and maybe overshooting it, now you have another problem of scrap part. We can, get it close and, make that adjustment as needed. So, yep.
We're setting it in there, yeah, it's gonna be in there.
Yep, exactly. And then they also allow for like an upper tolerance limit that they call it. So, so there's, the tool number to be updated. That's set to automatic, right? Because it's pulling the tool automatically off of what Op12 is using. If Op12 changes in any way, then it's going to get marked as a dirty tool path. We just simply need to regen, and we're good to go there. But yes, here's where that that feedback percentage, that I have is. There's the upper tolerance limit to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable with changing or updating the tool maybe over 10 thou, right? Because maybe that seems a little excessive. That could be if it mismeasured or a chip on the probe, something like that. It's making these decisions automatically, so that's kind of a threshold, right, if you would, of a check and balance. And then there's times too, maybe we don't want to update the tool, right? So that's where your adjustment tolerance zone is. If it's within 2/10, right, I don't necessarily need to chase the tenths on my tool and keep on updating, part after part. If it's within, again, maybe a couple tenths subject to the part and materials, then maybe I don't care about updating the tool. I only want to update if it's, outside of this area, but underneath this area, right, more or less, so. Very good. Unless there's anything else, I will, like I said, I'll be hanging around, obviously. So feel free to catch up or ask any questions as needed. So. Perfect. So I think up next is, I think it's
Let's see. Yep. All right, hello. My name is Adriel Walters. I am from Mastercam Corporate, and I am a user experience designer. What that essentially is we work with customers, we work with resellers or channel partners to create the new products that come up. And so today I'm going to be talking about three features, functions that I worked on the past couple years. Solid, which is a solid hole, levels manager, and planes manager. So not just myself, we do have a huge development team that I worked with. So big shout out to them for all the hard work they've done over the year. So let's start with solid hole. So solid hole, we've redesigned it. We added predefined industry standard libraries, flexibility to create and save user-defined hole libraries as well, and improve custom hole creation, as well as on-screen hole dimensions and profile outline. I am going to show a demo as well. And here we go. So solid hole is found in the solids tab. We're going to click solid hole. So we can see here in solid hole, we have used our new what we call vertical tabs structure. So what that allows for easy navigation, organized view as well, and just allows you to focus in on the actual task you're working on. So right now with geometry selection, all we're focusing on is selecting the geometry and then working down the process from there. So in this area, we do have the option to rename the hole that we're making, as well as select the geometry. So if there were multiple solids on the screen, you come here and select this. But what we do to make it easier is if there is only one solid, we just automatically select that. So it's less clicking, allows you to go through and run through the process. A lot of this is going to be same as what you've seen last year or the prior years. We have our plane operations where you could select your plane that you want to work with. I'm just going to go and select, let's say this one here. And then we want to select our hole positions. So we can select from selecting this option here to add a hole and select like a predefined point on the graphics area on the part, or we could use this option here, which allows you just to put a hole anywhere that you select your auto cursor. So let's go and select that and hit enter. And you can see here, we have some hole profiles already shown in the graphics area. Now let's jump to the solid hole tab. So this is where we're going to see the biggest change. The biggest area the one area that I want to talk about is our industry standard. So we're starting to pull in ANSI inch, ANSI metric, iOS metric, and JS metric. to be used. Now, these are industry standards that can be used and utilized. So with one of the libraries selected, you can select an option, hole style. So counterbore, countersink, taper, threaded, so on. So let's go and select a counterbore hole. And let's take a look at this. And you can see how the profile has updated to show that, to represent that counterbore hole. We also have a list of types. Now each hole style is going to have their own types that you could toggle between and use and switch between, as well as sizes. So the main goal when designing this was to reduce the need to jump to tap charts or calculations. We pull everything into Mastercam. You can easily cycle through and select which holes work the best. So it's one, again, the kind of theme is making it easier to use and less of the back and forth. So as we go through this, we see updates here, but the biggest update that we're going to, or as we jump through different hole styles, we see our hole properties changing down here. We have different fits that you could use for this counterbore, and that will update depending on what's being shown in this view here. And then you can see here, we have our diameter, counterbore diameter, and some other dimensions, hole properties here. These are set to read only. You cannot edit these because you are in an industry standard. You don't want to veer off from that. But we do have an option to edit that if you want to base off of that, and I'll show you that in a second. Looking at the hole depth, we've updated some of this as well, adding the through all function. So you can see just by switching that, we were able to switch that through all. Let's go back to blind hole. But we also added this to depth for the shoulder, so we can add the depth to the shoulder as well as to the tip. And so enabling those, we'll change that, and you would be able to see, again, your profile outline updating. Now jump back to through all. We can see that we also have edge treatment, so clicking that, we'll enable that. And let's zoom in here, and we can apply edge treatments to your hole. You can also match top and bottom by clicking that, and that automatically enables your bottom edge treatment. And where is it? It's hidden somewhere there. It's okay, but it adds that. So like I said earlier, we can make the edits off of this industry standard. So we do have a toggle here that we saw earlier of user defined. So by clicking that, a couple things happen. Your type is removed as well as your size. And that's because you're going to actually edit the dimensions of the hole, the property. So you could come in and click and edit and change. This is all editable. And let's say you have a starting point, or you want to say use this starting point of this counterbore hole, for example, and you want to make a slight edit, slight adjustments off of that for whatever reason for the particular job. You could do that now. And let's say you like that hole and you want to save that for future use. So we have our whole libraries up here. If you had a whole library that you've already created, you could click this drop down to view. But let's go and create one now. And we're just going to call it saved for this time being. Let's create that library. So clicking this button here will allow you to create new libraries. And then adding that is simple. Just clicking this other button down below in our presets. You could rename this. You could select new libraries as well. But clicking that, we'll save that. And again, because live demo, we see that let me just select that one more time. Oops. So it always happens, right, with the live demo. There we go. Let's just use auto cursor. So you can see with the auto cursor, we can just place the hole wherever we want. So having this list shown here, you could build as many libraries as you want, as many whole styles as you want. And also, if you already had your whole styles or libraries from your previous Mastercam, you can import those into Mastercam as well, into the new version, show those there. Or if someone given you a predefined whole library, you can pull that in as well. So these could be selected and updated and changed when you want. And once that is added and once your library is created, you now see we have a separate section down here called User Library that you can click the drop down and view and toggle between and see those holes that you've created. We've also added a threaded hole. So threaded holes are now they can be used. So this is new for 2026. You do have, again, a lot of types that you can select from as well as sizes to build out those holes. And so that is the hole style tab, and let's jump to the advanced tab. So the advanced tab, a lot of the same options as last time. We do have the ability to show threaded, non-threaded holes by clicking that and changing your color. And same with the hole position, associativity. This is your hole graphics, so if you want to turn that off, you can click that, and that will turn off your hole graphics shown there, as well as the sizing of that text. And then if you don't want to have any history created when creating a hole, you can turn that on and no history will be created. So that's the solid hole. So before moving on, any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we add history to a dummy solid and recognize the holes? I almost never get to design my own parts.
Uh-huh.
And my designers always get me in trouble.
Okay.
So is it possible to have hole recognition in the history, like when you add history to the
Uh-huh. Let me look into that and see.
'Cause that would be awesome.
Okay. Yeah, we could take a look. I mean, we'll take a look at after when we have a break, and we could see if we have that option.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? All right. Okay, so next, we're going to take a look at the levels manager. So all these parts here that I'm showing are from our signature parts library. So if you want to play around with that, with these parts and see how each one, they're all labeled depending on the function. So you can go in and play with that. So levels manager, the biggest redesign that we've had. Probably most of you have seen it for 2026. But what we've done is we moved to a tree structure. The tree structure allows for grouping, allows you to group your levels and organize your files and your levels here. So with the levels manager, we have our grouping function here, or groups shown here. So all groups are going to be shown with a folder icon. Grouping can be nested as well. So if you wanted to group files even further, let's go and drag that onto that. And now we can see that's nested. And just as easy as it is to nest them, you can easily drag them out. The level icon, this level icon here shows that it's a non-active level, and the check mark shows it's an active level. So clicking that will mark the level as active. We do have our level number shown here, level name, our entity count, and our visibility toggle. Clicking that will toggle it on and off. But you can see up here, we have it at the group level as well. So you can quickly toggle all those levels on or all those levels off. So if you, let's say we had 10, 15 levels within this group, you could quickly toggle them on to view it, toggle them off. And then again, we have our menu options shown here, not just hidden in the right-click menu. So any new users coming in that didn't know that there's a right-click menu options, you now see that those are there. Now with the new introduction, we also added ability to search. So searching, so levels, this is a very small level list. I know the parts out there with just thousands of levels. So here we can search for levels. So let's say, for example, I want to search for, oops, missed the I. This fixturing option. I can multi-select, and you can also see that the levels list has filtered out as well and shown just what you typed in there. Right-clicking, I could quickly group those levels, And then a slow double click at the group level, I could rename it if I wanted to. Also, clearing that, we'll clear the levels, and let me hide that because I want to show you that in a second. We also have sorting. So we had sorting in the past, brought it back, of course. You can sort by level number, level name, entity count, level visibility, so ascending, descending, and you could reset that sort when needed. We also now add group filtering. So you could view just any ungrouped levels, and that will filter that out. If you want to see one group, you can click one group, and that will show that. And resetting resetting your view is quick and easy. So one of the biggest things that I'm excited to show here is entities. So what I did here is I expanded the level. And within the level, we now see all the entities that make up. So this level has 105 entities. And within that, we have our arcs, our lines, points, solids, splines, surfaces, all shown within this. And you can see as I'm clicking through in the graphics area, those are being highlighted. So you can quickly see what this level is made up of and take action upon that. If you want to, say, select that make a selection in the graphics window, you can right-click, click select. Those points are now selected, and you can see we have some wireframe, some contextual, what we call contextual ribbon tabs that pop up at the top that you can take action on. Now let's say you're creating a level and you accidentally put these points on the wrong level. Many of us have probably done that using the wrong active level, switching, and you're like, oh, I wanted to put it, let's say, in this plug. Well, now you can right-click, say either copy those or let's cut those out, and I'm going to paste that there. Let me expand that, and now our points are there, and they're not here anymore. Now, we do see that this did, when you do take action on a level that is, you have the visibility off, it will turn the visibility on because you are acting upon that. But now we have those points shown now on this level. And if you want to delete those, you can delete those. You can also copy them too. So if you want to put those on multiple levels, you have the option to do that there. We also have, again, contrast rows shown up here. And then because with the new level visibility, we have our toggles. The all levels on, all levels off are still up here. We're just using the eyeballs to show that. So again, toggle all of them on. Clicking that again will reset the level visibility and bring it back. One other thing you can do is you can create groups up here. So you could create groups, and you can see here as I create groups, you could just nest to your heart's content. So again, just allows for that easy user organization of your levels. So that's the levels manager. Any questions?
Can you still export, import?
Yes, you can still export, import. Right here. Saw some other hands?
Is there any enhancements being done on, like a lot of projects I work on have 200-300 plus operations, to go select an operation and go directly to the level and geometry that's associated with that operation?
So selecting an operation, so the question was being able to select an operation and going to that level of geometry. That will probably be another team that might be working on that, but we could talk to that team and see if that's something that they're looking into.
Okay.
I saw one over here. Yep.
You just want to highlight the level that it's on? No, a lot of the projects I have are hundreds of operations. Yep. And you send it to a customer, and they're going, oh, I need to tweak this one thing. Yeah. But I don't know what level that geometry is associated with. So, I mean, yeah, we have the current way we do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in your toolpath manager, you can turn on display associated geometries.
Yeah.
So it'll display what's the geometry associated with that particular
Yeah, let's talk after and see, get some more information on that, because that'd be something, seems like something, could be very, very useful. Question over here, yes.
Yeah, two thoughts. One is renaming a level. Is the right click or did you use the triple click on it?
Yeah, so renaming, it's a slow double click.
Yeah, how many clicks?
2.
Okay.
1,
I
2.
found it was 3.
3, okay.
As a thought. Next thought is, I want to make a new level.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to, when you go to make a new level, you hit the plus, it automatically puts it sequentially to the next level.
Mhm.
Well, I want 500.
Got it. Yeah, so if we want to do 500, we'll double click the level number,
Then you
add the level,
rename it. Okay.
and then rename it.
So-
Yep, but because we already had a level,
In-
so,
Yeah, in 25 and earlier, you had an option to go in there and put what you want.
yeah.
So if you go into the graphics area
Uh-huh,
and you right click and you have your levels right there, see the level box right there?
Yep.
So now if you type in go in the level box, type in 500, colon, test, and enter, and you'll see it show up on the left-hand side. It should have popped in there. If you put the double.
oh, we already had, let's do a new number. Yeah, so let's do, let's say 600?
Yeah, 600, then you're doing the colon, this is a separator thought. And
Oh, I already have
you're putting
600.
what your comment is, it automatically creates it, makes it active,
Mm-hmm,
and sets it for you.
yeah, there it is.
So that way, if you either do it from the right click from that box, or if you go to
Mhm.
the main screen's option, same thing under
Yeah.
attributes, anywhere there's one of those level boxes on that, you can type that. And that's something that's been there for
Yeah.
years.
That's a neat,
But that's the workaround I found because they took away that option.
Mhm.
A lot of times when I build levels, I have certain levels I like to use all the time,
got it, okay.
besides making your own. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and we've, we're looking into adding level properties back. So like what we had in the past, we had level properties at the bottom, so we are looking into bringing that and adding that to that.
I heard receipts.
So,
So real quick, after lunch, we're gonna just have a complete Q&A session, so.
Yeah.
So I know that there's been a ton of questions and people have met me in the hallway. And we plan on doing all of that after lunch. We just wanted to do the presentations.
okay,
And address all of them.
it's all right.
But
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm more than happy to answer questions, so.
After lunch.
Okay, so let's, so with that, if you have other questions, if you could hold on to it, write them down, we could chat about it later. But let's take a look at the Planes Manager. Oops. All right. So with the Planes Manager, again, we brought the same treatment of grouping, level grouping here. First thing I want to show is that all of your default planes, top, front, back, bottom, etc., are all in the system groups. Now the system group planes are always going to be at the top of your list. They will always show up there. You cannot, say, drag them in and out of the group. So you can see I'm clicking and holding to drag it out. You can't bring it in and out. Those are your default planes. However, all of your other planes that you've created, what we call like your name planes, can be moved in and out of the groups. So, for example, I want to move this out. I could quickly bring that up and move it in there. And you can see I cannot bring this into my system planes. I can only move them into my created groups. So looking at the this icon here, we are now showing the type of a plane you're using. So if you created a mill turn or a lathe X, lathe D, that will show this here. And I don't think we have that in here, but so if you came in here, create a lathe plane, it will show a lathe icon now. And it'll show either the lathe D, lathe X, so on. We do have the check mark showing that it is a used plane. And then we have your plane name, your work offset number. Now this icon here is signifying that it's an automatic. It's an automatic work offset, so that's being set there. Whenever you set a manual work offset, it will show the number here. We have our coordinate controls, our lock, unlock, display gnomon, section view, as well as options here as well. Now these 3 buttons can be hidden, so if you don't want to see those, you don't use them often, you can hide them, but you can always use them from this right-click menu as well. So you can customize what's being shown there. Just like the levels manager, you do have search. So if you want to search for, say, standoffs, you can search that. Again, you could hold shift and select all, or hold control and select some and create a group. So say we want to create some of those, we can do that. Again, you get the same filtering, you get sorting options as well, and grouping options. So let's take a look at ungroup planes. And I want to show you something neat in here as well. So let's say we're looking at ungroup planes. I know I already have a group for where my ops are. I'm going to right click this and say move. That opens that group. Slide it over, move that to the group, and now those are now thrown into that group here. So you could quickly take a look at those, move through the different planes here. You could search for those. So if you know that you want to find all of your ops or certain groups that you want to move and organize, you can do that as well. We have our plane properties down below, where you can rename, set your work offset, and everything what you've had in the past. Get unique is now this button here to save space, and we have your other options down here. These options can be also hidden, so if you don't want to see all those, you could adjust that as well. One cool item that we've added to 2026 is the option to set default work offsets. So in config, you can set your default work offset. So if you know you work with a certain offset, a certain number, you can set that here. And if I click this, I don't want to do it because we know config may take a while to load. It will now set this default work offset to 1. So whenever you're creating a new plane, it's always going to be set to manual and will be set to that 1 number. Showing up here of how to edit those and toggle those displays. So if you click that, you could toggle, you can see our lock is now gone, and we could bring it back. So again, you could customize how you want to see, what you want to see there. But again, you could access those options through the right-click menu, as well as the menu option here. And then in the properties display, you can hide options that you don't want to see. Now, all those options, if you hide those, you can still get those from clicking edit, being able to jump through here and creating those options there. So so that's the planes manager. And if you have questions, we could chat later just to get through the presentations. But that's what I got. So let me run through these. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Melissa Litzenberger. I'm also a user experience designer. I focus more on research, so a lot of the other designers focus on a specific part of the product. I focus on helping them figure out, is that part of the product working or not? Are we doing it faster? Are we doing it better? So today I have an opportunity to show you, which is Mastercam Copilot. So it launched its closed beta on July 1st, which is really exciting. It's this new product, especially for those of you with maintenance. So it is an AI-powered assistant. It's going to help you be more productive. It's going to help you with your workflows. And right now, we are in closed beta, so we have it out to connect customers, and we are hoping to get feedback. So I wanted to show you what we have right now, show you how to access it if you're on maintenance or connect, and then kind of give you a look into the release in January. So some of the features of Mastercam Copilot, we have a natural language interface, meaning you can speak to it like normal. So you can say, I want to do this, or tell me more about this thing, and it's going to understand you. It's using the ChatGPT 4.0 language model. So it's working with that, it understands you. It also has context-aware command execution if you're using the add-on in Mastercam. We have two different ways to access it right now. You can access it in My Mastercam, which I'll show you. You can also access it through the add-on. So in the add-on in Mastercam itself, you're able to execute commands. You're able to tell it to do things, and then it will open that panel up, open that dialog up, and start helping you with that. So it is pulling directly from our Mastercam help documentation. It is not searching the wide web. It's using our information from Mastercam Corporate that we have written. And last of all, it is continuously updated. So from now until its January release, we're going to continue to add more and more into this product, and then afterwards we are going to continue to make it better as well. So let's figure out, how can you access this? Right now it is in closed beta. We have a certain amount of people who have already signed up, but we do have some seats open if you are interested in trying this out. You can find this in My Mastercam. So if you go into My Mastercam, you can see up in the top right-hand corner, there is the Copilot icon there. If you click onto that, you will have the opportunity to sign up to be one of the beta testers. And then it will open up Mastercam Copilot in your browser, which I will show you in just a second. The other way to access this is through the Copilot add-on. So if you go to the Mastercam downloads page and you go down to Mastercam Copilot version 1.2, that's the current version out and available. Another version will be available at the end of September. We're getting ready for emo. And we have a few more features that should be rolling out by the end of September. When you open up this add-on in Mastercam, you're going to see the Mastercam Copilot tab on the ribbon. By the January release, we're hoping to have it be an actual button on the ribbon instead of its own tab. And then it will open up the Copilot panel. So why don't we take a look at that? So let's go to My Mastercam first. So I'm in My Mastercam right now. As you can see, here is that button. If you click on it, you need to log in, which I am not logged in, and that's okay, because the same functionality is in the add-on, which is ready, hopefully. In the My Mastercam version, it is only help documentation. There's no command execution. It can't do anything in Mastercam because you're not in Mastercam. But if you're hoping to look at documentation and ask questions, you can do it right there in your browser. So let's go here and open up Copilot. So I'm on the Mastercam Copilot tab. I am clicking on Copilot. At the moment, it will open up in the Managers panel over here. By the January release, we hope to have it over on the right-hand side here. That way you have your managers, you're doing your work on the left-hand side, you have your graphics window, and then on the right-hand side, you have instant help from Copilot. So, down here at the bottom, we have 3 different modes. We have this brain with the gears icon, which is automatic, where as you are typing things, it's going to figure out, do you want help or do you want me to do something? In the middle here, we have the little I for information icon. This is the help only. So if you're only looking for help, you would click on that, and that would say, whatever you type in is only going to look at Mastercam help and provide you that information. If you were looking for only commands, you only want you to help it improve your workflow, you would click on the little desktop icon here. That is the command. That is going to help you execute commands. So if you tell it to do something, It's not going to look for help documentation, it's only going to open things. So let's start here with the help icon. I want to know, what is dynamic trim? So you can see right here, it is thinking. And then you can see down here, it is thinking as well. So it's looking in Mastercam help documentation, and it's going to provide you that information. So it tells you what it is, it gives you information about it directly from our help documentation, and then if you want to go deeper into that, it provides you links. If you click on dynamic trim, it is going to open the help documentation so you can dive deeper on your own. But if you don't want to dive deeper on your own, you can continue to ask it questions. Let's see now. Maybe I want to open a file. So I typed in open file. It is going to open the file manager for me so that I can quickly go and find the part that I want. All right, I want that part. Okay. So, typed in open file, opened it immediately for me. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to move to automatic. Now it's going to start figuring out, do I want information? Do I want a command? So that's a little far away. Let's do screen fit. So it's going to pull it up for me. Next up, maybe that's too much. I'm going to say zoom 80. And it's going to push it back for me. So just using this chat command, you can start to interact with Mastercam. All right, so from here, let's see, maybe I want to open up dynamic contour. So it's thinking, and based on what I gave it, it knows that I want to open up a dynamic contour toolpath. It didn't give me the information about it. If I wanted the information, I should have said something like, tell me about it, or I want to know about this. But let's just do that really quick. Have that selected. Let's see. And I have my toolpath. So it was able to open that up for me, which is pretty cool. So now let's test out this automatic. Let's see. I want to know about create rectangle. Let's do something easy. I'm going to just put rectangle in. So based on my prompt, it opened up create rectangle. That's pretty good. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I actually want to know what is create rectangle. So before it gave me the command execution, and now it's thinking. You can see the little dots here. And now it's giving me the information I want instead. It is able to understand the difference between commanding or executing and figuring out what help I want. There's a few more things to mention. Over here, we have the voice chat. I don't want to mess with the stream, so I'm not going to use it right now. But if you click on the voice chat, you can use your voice and say screen fit and then send it so you don't actually have to type it. That would help a lot with my typos today. While you're typing in here, type it in, press enter, and it will send it. It is pretty cool. There's one more thing I wanted to show. While you're in this closed beta, we have these two little buttons here as well, which is telling you whether something is helpful or unhelpful. If it's doing it correct and you're happy with it, click the helpful button. It's going to give us feedback knowing we're doing well in that. If it gave you something wrong, click the unhelpful button, and then you're able to provide us feedback so that we can improve the model and make it better and better. And that is it for me. Let's see. Any questions?
So being that said, if those two hold for credit, can you ask what kind of is it like a quarter 20 or, for example, or?
I don't know that right now. Right now, it's specifically looking at Mastercam help. So I don't believe it would be able to do that now, but if you have suggestions, I would love for you to send them to me, because we want to know how to make this product better, what you would want it to do. That's part of this development cycle we're in.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't interrogate the bottle, but you could type in something, correct me if I'm wrong, analyze, analyze entity, and then you could go and, bring up those commands. So the commands that you're doing in Mastercam, and all the mouse clicks, Melissa's typing in there. That's what it's doing right now, but that's hopefully getting to that point where it starts to interrogate the model.
Yeah.
And I was thinking bigger in the future too, the thoughts of being able to, if I'm cutting a certain material, I'm using this certain tool, can you give me feeds and speeds for this, things like that.
Yeah.
Stuff that I could see in the future.
That's something that we're looking
Yeah,
into.
that would speed up a lot of programming for a lot of us.
Yes, I hope we can bring that in soon, but that is future goals.
Program part. Josh is gonna show some of that.
I think they have that in my company.
Right, any other questions? All right. Thank you.
All right, I'm back as a familiar face again, and thanks, Melissa. That was a great segue into actually going right into CAM Assist and Cloud NC. So there are three. Just a little bit of background on CAM Assist. I don't know how many people have seen YouTube videos or a demo from us or a webinar. Can I just see like a show of hands? Are people familiar with CAM Assist with Cloud NC? Anybody in the room here? Or is it kind of, okay, a few? Okay, so it kind of allows me to tailor my presentation here to that. So there's three main things, and I'm going to jump right into Mastercam here in a minute and show this. But Cloud NC is the parent company, or the company, and then CAM Assist is the product, okay? So people sometimes get those a little confused. I hear, people say, oh yeah, I know what Cloud NC is, but I'm not sure what CAM Assist is. So same thing, it's just the product and the company, right? Cloud NC, the company, and CAM Assist, the product. So I'm going to jump into Mastercam here. And let me pull up my file here. And we will take a look at this file here. All right, I'll close out Copilot here. So, like probing, CAM Assist is an add-on in Mastercam, so it's not actually, it's its own separate company, its own separate entity, right? But when you purchase CAM Assist and install it in Mastercam, you'll have a tab here in the ribbon, and then you'll have those three features that I mentioned in the PowerPoint here, right? So I'm going to go through, and bear with me, some of you that have seen this, I'll try and go over it pretty quickly here. But you want to set up everything in Mastercam correctly. So if you have a fixture, you want to set that up in your job setup, right? If you have your model, your master model, and your stock, all that it needs to know so that it can generate the toolpath as best as possible, right? So I've already selected all that for time's sake. I'm going to come into the CAM Assist icon here and click on that. And then you have a drop down here. We're going to focus right now on just kind of going over the CAM Assist parameters here. And when you click on that, it's going to, the first time you do it, it's going to ask for like a license, and that license is done through your My Mastercam account and your email, okay? So it's tied together with that. If you have more questions on that, feel free to discuss that with me or something. So we have 3 tabs here, a general tab, a tool use tab, and an advanced tab. And CAMAsys comes with its own tool library here. So I'm going to leave most of these defaults on so you can just kind of take a look and see what it does. But I'll discuss them briefly here. So they have their own tool library, okay, and it's got hundreds of tools in it, right? And they're assemblies. So they've got their own speeds and feeds recommended. You can create your own, okay? So if you have, your own speeds and feeds and all that, the only caveat to that is they need to be assemblies, okay? You cannot just have a tool. You have to have a tool and a holder, okay? So you just need to be assemblies, and then you can do that. You have a machining parameters option here of 3-axis or 3+2. So it does not do simultaneous 5-axis work, multi-axis work, right? It does 3-axis and 3+2 currently, all right? So I'm going to put it on 3+2 for this. And then we have a machine group. This is our machine group 1. If you had a second op machine group, you would have a second op, and that would be set in your toolpath manager initially under the toolpaths. You would select another machine, right, and have a second machine group. So coming over to tool use here, you can see it gives us just a summary here, a bit of more tool information. There's 263 tools, right, in their default. Similar like Mastercam's default tool library, like 446 or whatever it is, right? They have in their mail library. So kind of a similar concept, right? They have their own generic libraries with speeds and feeds, and then you can select a material here. So we could go, a different materials here for speeds and feeds. And then if you jump down to the cutting parameters, this is basically like if you have your own custom library that you're using and maybe it doesn't have all the information or something, CAMAsys will try to generate some of that information, or you can say just use the cutting parameters that CAMAsys recommends, right? So you have those different options there kind of. And then you could go through and remove certain tools or uncheck them or use certain tools, right? So I'm going to leave them all selected here, but you have a lot of control that way as well. Sliding over to the Advanced tab, you have the operations that you want to machine, right? So do we want to do facing? You could check that or uncheck it, right? You have roughing, etc. down the list. I'm going to leave all these here. They're just something to mention. CAMAsys is constantly coming out with updates, like usually bi-monthly, okay? So when I load CAMAsys, every 2 weeks, usually there's a new download, an update, something, right? For example, this basic tapping didn't exist, I'm going to say 6 months ago, maybe. I can't remember exactly when, but it came out recently, right? For a while, they just had like rectangular stock, and now there's, adding cylindrical and different things, right? So they're constantly improving things, every month, every couple weeks. So I'm going to leave these here. And we're going to say machine full part here. Check that. And then you have internal corner radiuses right here, as well as stock to leave, right? So we have stock to leave on axial and radial stock, okay? So, oops, I guess I moved that with the cursor and it changed it. So coming down here to finishing, you have different finishing operations by order, by type, right? Order and type or minimize tool changes, and then some different things you have. We don't have all of the Mastercam finished toolpaths in here, okay? It does limit us to some, but once it generates the toolpath, we can always go back in and change it, okay? So if you're like, hey, I want to use a equal scallop toolpath, okay? It's already selected the geometry and everything. We can go back in and change that toolpath, okay? So you have like an undercuts box here as well, and then down here we can select always generate toolpaths. If you have heavy models, you might want to not generate the toolpaths because sometimes it'll take a while and you'll be sitting there watching things generate in front of you, depending on the speed of your computer. So, this is an option here as well. And then they have this next-gen roughing strategy. Again, this is another enhancement they came out with a few months ago, and it's a lot better than their previous roughing strategy. So I'm going to green check out of here because everything should be set, right? And right now it's taking the data and it's sending it off to CAMAsys like AI model, if you would, and analyzing the entire part, okay? So it's analyzing it and saying, how do we best approach this? And as you all are very well aware, there's, an infinite amount of options when you're programming, scenarios that you run into, right? Complex things. So, it has a lot to go over there and consider, right? So we'll see how fast this computer is, right? But you can see here on the left, it's populating the toolpaths here and stock models and toolpath groups, right? So it's really cool in that if you told me, hey, go sit down and program this right now, it's going to take me a lot of clicking, right? A lot of time, a lot of making toolpath groups, stock models, right? It lays it out real clean. So right now, I've saved a lot of time. And then it gives us a summary right here of, you got this many surfaces and this many finishing operations and different things, right? So I'm going to hit OK. And then it's going to say, do you want to see the cycle time estimate? I'm going to say no for now because for time's sake. And now it's regenerating the toolpaths in Mastercam. Okay, so now it's completely done with the cloud side of things. It's completely regenerating in Mastercam, and I can edit any toolpath in there. Okay, so this, like the speed of this is based off your system now, right? How fast and can it regenerate in Mastercam? So you can see it's already regenerated a bunch of those toolpaths there. And again, I don't know how fast you are with programming or clicking, but I can't get anywhere close to this fast with creating toolpath groups and all those great toolpaths, right? So think of CAM Assist as an assistant, as a technician, right, that's going to help you program and do a lot of, we call it like around CAD-CAM, the heavy lifting, right? The geometry selection, everything that I've already gone over. And sometimes we've had customers approach us with, hey, we want this to do like multi-axis work. But think about it this way. It frees you up to be able to do the complex stuff that our minds can navigate around and comprehend, right? So think of it like that technician, that assistant who's helping you get the easy stuff done and laying everything out really nice and doing it really quickly, selecting all that geometry, the avoidance, whatever you need, right? So as you can see here, it's done, right? It's completely generated all the toolpaths. I can see my stock models here, right? It lays it out very nicely for roughing different things. I could verify this, right? I'm going to show this in machine simulation if I can here. We'll find out if it works. If I go to machine here, click on the machine simulation icon, and let's go ahead and select elements. We'll grab our part model there, and we'll use our Mastercam fixture and our Mastercam stock, and I will use the external post, and we will, hopefully we have everything selected, simulate. So hopefully we will be able to see this in machine simulation. And remember we selected 3+2, right? So it's going to have we'll be on a trunnion here. Take a look. So right click, we're going to fit. I need the co-pilot for that, the fit there. And we'll turn off the housing here. And let's check our speed and run this a little bit so you can see. It's going to come in here and do the first operation. And I'll kind of run through it. But how easy was that, right? Yeah. So again, keep in mind there's some parts that, surfacing it's still getting better at. There's some things it's still improving on, right? But if you want to race me programming this part, go for it, I'll bet you lunch over it. So anyways, that's I'll fast forward this here to the end. Fast forward here to the end. But I'll show you the part, and you saw it. I mean, I had no toolpaths or anything, right? And look at this cube with the holes and everything. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Very, very powerful, right? Again, I know I've said it, but all the selection, all the geometry, everything, right? Solid models, everything. So it's, yeah, really, really cool in that. I'm going to show one other thing here. So let me see if I have, oops. So in CAM Assist, they also have like a soft jaw designer here, and I'm going to try and show this here. See if I get my part. This one here. So this is also another feature, and they also have a cycle time estimator. That's cool. You can just kind of take parts, and I believe it's up to 10 parts, I think, and you can run the solid models through it, and it kind of gives you an estimate on your time for quoting or different things, right? So it may not be perfect, but it's a really, really neat feature, right? And really something you could take advantage of. The soft jaw designer here, I'm just going to show this. It has the icon here, and we'll open this up. So I'm going to select my part here, and you can see, actually, I'm going to close this really quick. You can see I just have two, pieces of aluminum, right, or whatever, right, steel, something. They're not machined, right? So if I go back into the soft jaw designer here, I can select my part right here. I can select, it says the two jaws, so I need to have this jaw and this jaw, right? And then I need a spindle direction, so a spindle is obviously going to be coming vertically here. And I need a jaw opening direction, so basically, which way are the jaws opening and closing, right? And then I got a bunch of other parameters down here, but most of these are like populated because of the information I've already given it, okay? So if I come down to, you have this checkbox down here, the multi-level. So if you want it to be a flat Z depth, you can just have it be a flat Z depth. In this case, you'll see hopefully here, it's actually a multi-level Z depth, right? So we'll see that in a minute, but I'll leave that checked, right? Multi-level Z depth, and okay. So then we'll come down to corner reliefs, right? So in this case, it's defaulting to an 1/8 inch, right? Maybe I'll go like 187.5, right? Oops. I always forget that when I'm in the field, it changes it. And then let's green check. We'll see if I forgot anything, right? But we'll give that a minute to generate, see if it can do it. When you're doing it live, maybe. You never know if you forget something. Find out. But so now it's complete, right? So I'm going to click on the jaw here, click on the jaw here, hit Alt-E to hide everything, and you can see there's our multi-levels in Z, right? We have multiple Z depths. So I think that's cool, right? How many times you have to sit there and draw stuff or curves on edges and then offset it because you need, and then you got to enlarge the relief drill size or whatever, right? For the edges. So anyway, just some really neat things that they're coming out with. And if you guys and folks have any questions, feel free to come up to me or any of our team and ask about this, or any questions I can. Any questions right now that I can cover? Yeah.
For example,
Sorry.
the other part.
Yeah.
Will it ask you if you want to use a reamer or bore it with a boring bar before you hit, like the back?
Yeah, right now it doesn't. It doesn't ask you if you want to use a reamer, but you can go in and change the tool. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't ask you right now.
You don't know what the system is going to choose, reamer or just a drill or.
Right. Correct. I believe it's not. It doesn't know yet. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Most likely it'll pick a drill.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have all of the information picked, the top of the hole, the bottom of the hole, all of that's gonna be set. All you need to do is go back in and pick a, if you're gonna bore it, if you're gonna ream it, pick a reamer, change your cut clamp. That's it. Those are the only two. Right? So like Josh said, it's an assistant.
Yeah.
So you're just going back and double checking his work. You go, hey, you know what, you did 80% of this work for me. Let me clean up a little bit of it, and we
Yeah, and to Rob's point, I was just speaking with Soon here in the back, and he was telling me that he uses it just like that, to select everything, and then he might go back and change some things, the tool, ream, or something different, right? And he's like, he loves it. It was just, and I hadn't even, we hadn't even discussed that I'm doing this. He had just had a question. He's like, oh, do you know about CAM Assist? I'm like, yeah, and then we were talking about it, he was telling me. So, that was not pre-staged, believe it or not. I told him he could do the demo, but he turned me down.
What's the price tag?
It starts at $5 for a year, and then there's a multi-seat option as well as there is a Gov Cloud option. So if you need like secure Gov Cloud, then there's additional tier pricing for that. Yeah, and then that's also, I believe it's multiple seats. But yes, correct. Yeah.
The security side is the ITAR
Yes, but the Gov Cloud works with that. Yeah.
to cover that.
Yep.
That's usually the biggest deal.
Yep. Yeah. Because it wouldn't be allowed in a lot of security aerospace companies. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Great questions. Yeah.
On the previous one, I noticed you didn't select or tell them what kind of stock you have. Do you have to tell them what kind of stock you have at least?
Yeah. So that's all done in the job setup. So when you select, you're still gonna have to go into Mastercam and select your machine, like select your mill machine, and then you're gonna need to set your stock. You're gonna need to select your part model, and you're gonna need to select your fixture, because otherwise it doesn't know. It's just gonna machine right through that. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? All right, yeah. Feel free to, if you have any questions or want to discuss it, feel free to go. But thank you.
All right, we just have one more thing to drop into real quick, and then we'll end the live stream. We have Ivan Kirstik here from Mastercam Corporate.
Yes.
He just wanted to say a word or two.
Right. So thank you, Graham. Thank you, CAD-CAM Consulting. I just wanted to thank each one of you. I joined Mastercam last year. I lead the product team. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining. One of our goals at Mastercam is to work closely to be customer-centric and work close to the customers. So all the feedback you provide at these rollout sessions, we greatly appreciate. I actually happen to live here in Southern California. So I just, again, wanted to thank CAD-CAM and everyone for organizing and for taking the time to, if you need my contact information, I'll be here, happy to share. But thank you for being Mastercam customer, and all the best. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so that kind of concludes the presentation segment and our live stream. For all of those online, I just wanted to thank you for spending your morning, afternoon, wherever you are with us. I hope you found this valuable. Any questions or anything you have, you can direct them to me, and then I can pass them out to the appropriate people. My email is graham.h@cad-cam.com. You could also email marketing@cad-cam.com. But thank you very much. This will conclude the live stream, and we're good there. So let me know when you're done. Okay. All right, live stream is over. Big Brother is out of here.